Now, in this video, we're going to talk about a bunch of things, a bunch of different kind of subjects relating to power scaling and fusion in Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super. We just saw in the last episode of Super, we saw the Kale and caulifla fusion, Kefla. And there were some statements made and some power scaling things that I want to talk about. I know not everyone cares about power scaling. I'm sure if you clicked on the video, you probably do a little bit. If you don't, I don't know what you're doing here. But joining me to talk about a bunch of these discussions is Mike from Laughingstock Media. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey guys, it's Mike here from Laughingstock Media. How's it going?
You know, I probably should let you introduce yourself, but we're going to move on to the video in the first place. So, one thing I want to talk about in this video, which we're going to touch upon in, I guess, a little bit, is kind of rolling back to Battle of Gods and I guess the Battle of Gods arc in terms of Fusion versus Beerus, and I guess Fusion compared to Super Saiyan God Goku, which I think this episode for me, at least mentally, it kind of maybe look back at that and kind of just look it over again, I guess, really. But Mike, you know, what's interesting about this episode and Super in general is that the power scaling isn't always consistent.
Yeah.
And they kind of just write the show how they want to write it, which is fine. I still enjoy the show regardless. That's why I want people to understand.
Yeah.
I like the show no matter what, as long as the quality's still there. But, you know, the power scaling...
I mean, I even like Dragon Ball GT to several degrees. So if I can enjoy that, I think I can enjoy Super.
Right. But, Mike, one of the things that I think is really interesting is kind of what they did with the Potara Fusion again. They're talking about how it's now... And, you know, you'll probably bring up the other multipliers we've heard about in Super. And, you know, people don't always believe in multipliers. That's fine. But I believe it was Vados who said that caulifla and Kale, now that they're fused, their power is now tens of times stronger than what it once was.
Yeah.
Which by the Daizenshuu, you know, Potara Fusion is at least as strong as the Super Saiyan 3 transformation, because it says how Vegito in his base form is stronger than Goku was as a Super Saiyan 3, which you can kind of honestly just guess in the first place.
Yeah.
Even without looking at the Buhan filler where base Vegito fights Buhan.
We're definitely going to have to get into
know.
that, though.
Right. This might be a long video. I have no idea. But it's a lot of things I want to talk about here. That's the thing. The Daizenshuu really does focus on multipliers. That's the thing here, is that they say that Super Saiyan 1 is 50 times base. Super Saiyan 2 is 100 times base. And Super Saiyan 3 is 400 times base. So that would mean that the Potara Fusion, you know, give or take, you know, depending on who the fusees are, I guess, you know, it's around a 400 times multiplier at least, somewhere around there. You know, there is the thing, obviously, about how when Goku and Vegeta fuse, the Elder Kai says their fusion's even more complete or even stronger depending on where you look at it, you know, what manga translation or dub of the show, you know, it basically says the fusion's more complete because they are rivals, Goku and Vegeta.
Yeah.
So here with Kefla, Mike, you know, Vados says tens of times stronger. It's obviously one of those things where Super just changes things or just says a BS number that, you know, we're not supposed to think much of.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take it to heart and be like, oh, it ruins, you know, fusion. It's just one of those things where it's like, if you're going to put a number on something, I'd prefer if you looked back on, you know, earlier data, I guess, or you know, earlier sources. You know, maybe they're changing it, maybe they didn't look at, you know, back at the Potara Fusion, but they're definitely making it seem like it's a lot weaker than it has been. And, you know, people would argue that, you know, Vegito Blue versus Zamasu showed that it's kind of nerfed too. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's clear from the Super anime that they are not using the Potara multiplier of 1 times the other, basically. So
yeah, in the Daizenshuu it said it's like closer to multiplication than, you know, anything else really.
Yeah, so for me, with my own kind of headcanon, I guess you could say,
we love using that.
I tended to think that the Potara Fusion was more like 1 + 1 times 2 is base. So basically, let's look at, like, Goku would be the 1 as a Super Saiyan 3. Vegeta, who is a Super Saiyan 2, would only be a quarter as strong as Goku Super Saiyan 3, because Super Saiyan 2 times 4 is Super Saiyan 3. Thus, it'd be 1.25 times 2, which would be 2.5 times, which would mean that base Vegito would be 2.5 times stronger than Super Saiyan 3 Goku. Now, this is, of course, just math that I came up with and they never even confirm in universe. Right. But, again, that would mean that the Super Saiyan 3 would be 1,200 times stronger would be at least 1,000 times stronger than Goku's regular Super Saiyan 3 on his own. And what they're saying in the tournament is that it would be like tens of times stronger. And I guess, you could argue that 1,000 times is 100 times 10, so it would be tens, but nobody's thinking that when they're writing it down. They're just saying it's a big boost.
When she said that, it made me think that it was like no more than 200 because she says tens of times. Yeah. So it's like, okay, maybe it's over 100. What I want people to understand about this is that neither of us expect the math to be accurate, because it's not going to be. That's too hard to write in a story or keep consistent, I feel like. But I think that the general realm of power should be the same, the general kind of boost. One thing I also want to mention is, in the Buu saga, and I mean, I think we both agree, Z kept the scaling a lot more consistent and it was a lot more easy to follow. When Goku was originally going to fuse with Gohan with the earrings, and they were fighting Buu tanks, Gohan was obviously getting his ass whooped. That's no question about that. Even though I've heard people say he could have beaten him, but that's whatever. Goku, or the Elder Kai says, you can transform after you fuse, but you shouldn't need to. Implying that fusion would be strong enough to beat Buu tanks pretty easily.
Which seems fine to me.
So it just kind of shows... Yeah, I mean, that seems pretty clear cut. Obviously means, like, you're going to fuse. You're not going to need to transform. It's going to be way stronger than both of you combined or fighting together individually, really.
But the only thing is that when you compare the fusion material of Gohan and Goku's fusion to the fusion material of Goku and Vegeta's fusion, there's a massive difference in power between those two parties. Obviously, Vegeta isn't anywhere near as powerful as Gohan. Even Goku isn't anywhere near as powerful as Gohan in that arc. So, it makes more sense for the fusion between Goku and Gohan maybe in their base to be stronger than Buuhan than it does than Buu tanks than it does for Goku and Vegeta's.
Right, and in the manga, at least for me, it seems clear cut. The anime, again, like I mentioned, has that Buuhan versus base Vegito filler. Yeah. Even though they get that rival boost because the fusion's more complete, it seems pretty heavily implied to me that since Vegito goes Super Saiyan right out of the gate to fight Buuhan, that he wouldn't be able to beat him in his base. Yeah. In the actual, original story in the manga. That's pretty clear-cut scaling. Mike, you want to talk about some of the multipliers that have been going on, super, stuff that happened in the Trunks arc, we talked about off-air, just to kind of demonstrate more of the confusion that it's really hard to pinpoint these numbers. It's kind of hard to consistently talk about these characters' power scaling, because, I want to talk about the whole Vegito and Battle of Gods things, but one thing we have to mention is, that they aren't actually scaling these characters how they should be, I guess is what I want to say. They're not accurately scaling them or making them as strong as they should be. That's all I want to say.
Well, I mean, super scaling has kind of been all over the place, especially since the Universe 6 tournament, because, we're told how impressive it is to get as powerful as a Super Saiyan God, and then we're told that Goku's Super Saiyan Blue is that much more powerful, and maybe his base form is somewhere approaching the level of Super Saiyan God, and then suddenly he has to, transform into a Super Saiyan to fight, Frost, and then Vegeta has to transform to fight Vegeta and Kabe.
And not to cut you off, Mike, real quick. Yeah. One thing I did think of in the preview for the next episode, obviously it looks like Kefla is going to be outmatching Super Saiyan God Goku pretty easily.
And just her base.
Which we're going to talk about more later. Yeah, and just her base. Goku can't even keep up. In the preview, it shows Super Saiyan Kefla against Super Saiyan Blue Goku. So that would imply that Super Saiyan Blue is more of a 50 times boost. I mean, going by that Zenshu.
I mean, possibly, but the thing is, it never really has felt anywhere in the series like they have gotten that much of a boost from each transformation after, Super Saiyan 3. Super Saiyan God in this arc has been handled to the degree that it's questionable whether it's even as strong or stronger than Super Saiyan 3. So Super Saiyan Blue, I mean, when have we ever really gotten the impression that Goku, when he transforms, is getting over 50 times more powerful with that transformation?
I've always looked at it as maybe he's getting twice as strong or maybe 50% stronger based on the Resurrection F film.
Yeah.
One thing I just want to mention again, nailing down, because I know we're going to get those comments, Mike. Mm-hmm. Neither of us expect the power scaling to be like the Daizenshu, like you just said. We're not expecting it to be those 50 times multipliers or anything like that, because we just don't see that representative.
Yeah, I don't think that there's any real representation of that recently, especially the episode where Goku in its base form is fighting against Super Saiyan Kefla, and she isn't automatically just owning him to a ridiculous degree because of martial arts and because she's just a brawler, which has never ever mattered in the history of this show.
Well, she was doing some boxing moves, Mike, so...
I mean, yeah, but like after like Dragon Ball, it all became about power and speed, and that's basically
But I mean, that's the only way you can take it, though, I feel like, at that point.
Yeah.
If everyone's already skilled.
So how can base Goku fight against her? And of course people will say, well, base Goku must be stronger or on the same level of her as a Super Saiyan, or that she's suppressing herself to be on that level, but just like, she says she's not going to really hold that back that much. She says she's going to try and eliminate Goku, and then Goku goes Super Saiyan 2, and he's fighting against her Super Saiyan 2, and then plus caulifla, or then plus Kale with her special form, you know, and he's actually like being able to fight them. So, you know, that really, it doesn't make any sense if you're going to try and use these traditional numbers. Super seems to just be using its own scaling, which may or may not be different from episode to episode or writer to writer.
Right. I mean, it just kind of just depends on who's really producing and handling the episodes, you know. Not everyone thinks the same. Some people want to keep it more accurate to how it should be than others. But, you know, I wanted to get all this multiplier talk out of the way because really the meat, what I really wanted to mention, because I've mentioned this stuff before in like Q&As and old videos, is talking about Vegito, I guess more specifically in the Battle of Gods film, even though it's really irrelevant at this point, but also in Super, the Battle of Gods arc of Super.
Yeah, I think we need to clarify before that, Josh, that Battle of Gods and Resurrection F and the Dragon Ball Super anime, and even the manga to a degree, are all different continuities. Like, I guess if you want to try and rationalize it in universe, they're like a different universe, like a parallel universe, like in DC or Marvel, you know, even though it doesn't necessarily fit in the main story, but whatever. The fact of the matter is they're different continuities. So the scaling is a little bit different.
Yeah, I don't really want to talk about the film Battle of Gods because I feel like it's just the power is too different. There was the whole interview about Toriyama saying, you know, Goku's a 6. On a scale of 10, Goku's a 6, Beerus is a 10, Whis is a 15. Obviously, that doesn't even exist anymore. It doesn't apply. It's pretty clear at this point that how much stronger Beerus is now. Yeah. He just shows that his power is just so far beyond what we could imagine.
Even though in the Universe 6 tournament, they made it seem like Beerus was kind of sweating a little bit after Goku's Kaioken.
Right, which was like another one of those things, like just BS freaking showing that Goku's a lot stronger than, you know, that Goku's so much stronger than he was before, so even Beerus is like shaking a little bit, but Beerus is like far beyond that. Like, we didn't, in the anime, we didn't even get an implication that Vegito Blue is stronger than Beerus, although the manga, you know, the Supreme Kai says it or whatever. We got this multiplier talk out of the way. Multiplier doesn't really necessarily pertain to the actual Vegito versus Super Saiyan God discussion. That's more of general scaling. And what I mean is that in the Caulifla and Kale fight with Goku, it's very clear that Super Saiyan 3 Goku was way too much for them to handle. Obviously, Goku didn't keep the form because it drains too much energy, but neither of them could beat him in that form. And then obviously he won Super Saiyan God later on because it's just better stamina. It's even stronger, obviously.
Maybe.
Right. Who knows how they want to scale it, right?
It's faster, at least.
It's what I wanted to bring up though is like, it's interesting to me is that with the scaling there, if Super Saiyan 3 Goku's stronger than both of them, but they fuse and they become stronger than Super Saiyan God by so much, what you gotta think is like, okay, Beerus at who cares what percent he used, right? It doesn't even matter at this point.
Yeah.
Flick Goku as a Super Saiyan 3, like nothing. Mm-hmm. This is my headcanon here, people listening. I'm gonna get angry comments, I know, but I'm gonna speak my mind. Fine. Goku gets flicked as a Super Saiyan 3 by Beerus, but he becomes a Super Saiyan God and fights him at whatever percent Beerus is using. Who knows what he's using? Basically, what I want to say is that, you know, based off the scaling in the last episode, and obviously, like we mentioned before, scaling is not going to be the same every episode, depending on who's in charge of it, or what's going on, or all that stuff. There's so many factors. But if two Super Saiyan 2s that are weaker than Goku's Super Saiyan 3, follow me here because it could get confusing, those Super Saiyan 2s are weaker than a Super Saiyan 3, they can fuse into their base form as that fusion and completely outmatch or at least outspeed Super Saiyan God Goku, right?
Yeah.
So basically what I'm going with this is that if a Super Saiyan 3 Goku, obviously it's a way stronger Goku, right? In the term of power. But the multiplier is theoretically the same, you know, even though the multipliers aren't always followed the same. Super Saiyan 3 Goku is still stronger than Kale and Caulifla. But that fusion makes them stronger than a Super Saiyan God Goku, even though they're weaker than Super Saiyan 3.
Yeah.
Basically what I'm saying is, hopefully it makes sense because I've had to edit this a ton of times to get this right. Super Saiyan 3 Goku in Battle of Gods, if he were to, you know, that base Goku were to fuse with the Vegeta, theoretically that should be even stronger than Super Saiyan God as well in the Battle of Gods arc. That's kind of what I'm getting at. I'm not saying he'd be as strong as Beerus, but, you know, like a Super Saiyan Vegito, theoretically would be stronger than God Goku, even though I want to mention that, I can't remember if it was in Super, I believe it still was, there was that line of Goku saying, I don't even think fusion could work. But he wasn't sure. Like, not 100% sure. That could be, again, be writing.
It's not like he tried it, so he's not going to know for a fact. Now,
and are they talking about Super Saiyan 3 Vegito?
Yeah.
Like, you know, how's the writing done? That's just something I want to talk about, really.
I mean, my personal headcanon for that, and again, it's not explained in the show, is that I don't think that the multiplier for Super Saiyan God has been consistent. So I feel like the first time Goku went God, it basically boosted all of his power up to a certain level even after God wore off, and then the next time he uses the God power-up, it's not the exact same multiplier, it's like a smaller one. Just like Super Saiyan Blue does not ever seem like he's getting thousands of times stronger than Super Saiyan 3 or whatever. I don't think it's probably like that. I think maybe it's a smaller boost somehow due to the like absorption. Maybe it's like around the level of Super Saiyan 3. Maybe it's even stronger. I don't think it's been conveyed well enough to know for a fact, but I don't know. Just for me, I always thought that maybe the multiplier went down, but you know, in the manga, I think that they made it seem like it was the same. So, you know, who knows what it's going to do in the manga.
Totaro loves his Super Saiyan God.
Yeah. I mean, the manga, Vegito, when he first fuses, is shown to be more powerful than Goku's Super Saiyan 3, I think, or Super Saiyan Blue, because he's able to blast off one of Zamasu's arms. But I guess, again, you could just say that, you know, that's because he was caught off guard, and he still does go to Vegito Blue in the manga.
Right. But, you know, it's something I want to talk about. I know we said a lot of things in this whole video, and, you know, maybe some of it might not seem relevant. I think the main point of this video that I want to touch upon was that whole Vegito thing in Battle of Gods, and then really talking about scaling and Super.
And apply it to, like, Kefla.
Yeah. But I think it was all important to talk about together. But I think that's about it. I'm sure that I'm going to get hate comments. That's fine. If you agree or disagree, that's fine. Let me know down below. If you disagree, tell me why. If you agree, great.
I mean, I'm sure not everyone's going to agree with this because
I know that going
there's some
into this,
people
but,
who think that scaling is completely pointless, and then there's some people who think that literally everything that happens in this show makes sense. And I'm not really on that side, to be honest.
You're going to see the people that don't watch the full video for sure.
Yeah.
It's always in a video, especially one that's probably, what, it's going to be like 18 minutes, maybe 20.
Yeah.
So just to 100% clarify, I mean, I'm not saying Goku Super Saiyan God is weaker than Vegito, Super Vegito, or anything like that. I'm not saying that's how it would have been in Battle of Gods if they actually fused or in the saga. What I'm saying is that by this particular scaling situation of the Potara fusion, how the multipliers looking, and just how much stronger both Kale and Caulifla got, it appears that if Goku and Vegeta would have done the same thing against Beerus, they would have maybe performed better than Super Saiyan God. It's not definitive. I'm not saying that's how it would be, but I'm saying it's looking like that just based off this one scenario, basically. So don't take everything I say with its absolute fact, or that I'm trying to say it's absolute fact. It's just an opinion. It's just an analysis based on what we just kind of saw. And, you know, Caulifla was talking about how if they fuse, if they work together, they'll be the strongest in the universe. That could mean anything. It could just be like, okay, we're going to be stronger than everything we've seen before. If we fuse, maybe their fusion multiplier is crazier than Vegito's was. It's all up in the air because it's just, you know, the inconsistency of the scaling and the multipliers and everything.
I mean, for me, with Dragon Ball, it's usually just like whenever they say something, it's basically the most simplistic thing. So it's like, yeah, that's what they mean. But, you know, using later scaling, which might not necessarily be consistent, sometimes it seems like, wait, why didn't this happen? It's like Android 17. Why didn't 17 just come in?
We just talked about in a video of yours.
Yeah, why didn't he just come in and destroy Boo during the Boo saga? I mean, realistically, considering just how much stronger Goku and Vegeta have gotten, and he can fight Goku even as a suppressed Super Saiyan Blue, he should be able to destroy Boo.
I mean, how strong was he in the Boo saga, right? That was 7 years after the Cell saga. Was he hunting down those, was he taking out those poachers on the island the whole time, getting up to his Super Saiyan Blue level? Who knows? But, you know, that's the video, guys. Hopefully it was enjoyable for you. It was a little, I knew it was going to be all over the place because there's a lot I wanted to talk about, but I didn't want to separate into a bunch of videos. Yeah. Mike was the best person to grab for this, and we were both doing videos today anyway, so it worked out good. Mike, anything else you want to say before we go?
Super scaling is definitely not the thing to look for in terms of consistency if you want to enjoy the show. So just try and enjoy everything that doesn't involve, I guess, consistency or the plot.
And they'd all lose to Mr. Satan anyway.
Oh,
so,
yeah, Mr. Satan, he
about.
owned Beerus, so he could stomp any of them.
Beerus, yep. Well, Mike, thanks for coming down for the video. Everyone check out Mike from Laughingstock Media in the description down below. Makes great Dragon Ball content. And hopefully you all enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for watching, and catch you later.